Hi Chelsea, it's Friday, and I forgive you. Today, this dumbfounded 20-something is going to talk about energy and emotions in one take as well. So I loved your last video. I think the topic is really important and relatable, and that I feel like I have the same idea that in fiction, we forgive very quickly, whereas in real life it's a much slower process. And I think that has to do with the fact that in fiction, while we're reading and you get very drawn in and involved in the book, you're still a reader, you're still apart from the action, you're not on the receiving end of any of that. So for my instance, I immediately forgave Ron when he walked out on Hermione and Harry, whereas when he came back, Hermione took much longer to do the same thing, and I think I would have been very similar to Hermione's reaction if I was in that situation myself in real life. So there's that. And then your talk about forgiveness kind of inspired me to talk about emotions and energy because they're related. I've been dealing with a lot of health issues recently, so irritable bowel syndrome, chronic back pain kind of thing, and I've been dabbling in alternative medicines to treat them. And what alternative medicines have in common is they're all targeted towards kind of your inner energy flow and emotional state, and that has a lot to do with self-acceptance and forgiveness, which brings me was the reason why I was inspired by your topic. So I want to just go through a couple of things that I've been looking into and to give you an idea of what's out there, because I have kind of opened a good Pandora's box in just the amount of things that are out there in alternative medicine that are really interesting and useful. So the first is acupuncture. I mean, it's been around for thousands of years. Everyone knows about it. Of course, it was popularized by Cora when Beifong went to do her acupuncture treatment. So I always think that I'm like Beifong when I go there. But what's cool about acupuncture is that while you think it'd be scary, it's really not. It's very relaxing, and you leave feeling refreshed, even though you've been stuck with needles like a pincushion. So it's a very cool thing, and that's also about releasing energy flow throughout your body and being attuned to your emotional state as well. Then there's yoga, which everyone knows about yoga. The yoga pant, popularized yoga. But what I think is really cool is that it's not just a workout, it's a complete mind-body experience. And so someone recently told me, I don't bother with yoga because you don't sweat, it's not worth it to work out, to do yoga. That's completely false. You're missing the entire point of the practice. The point is, yes, you're strengthening your muscles and using stamina, but you also are combining the mental, being completely focused on what your body's doing in that moment. So that's cool about yoga. Then there's meditation, which is self-explanatory. It can also be stereotyped in that you're sitting around just going om, but that's not true. It's again focusing internally, reflecting on your emotional state and your energy, and trying to relax. And then what I think is cool, the newer one, so mindfulness, which is about kind of like meditation, but you're focusing on how your body is feeling and the kind of inherent state of being. Just by sitting here right now, my body is doing tons of processes and things that you don't think about on a daily basis, because of course you wouldn't be able to do anything else. But what's cool about mindfulness is that you take a moment to just think of, okay, for example, reflect on what the inside of your face feels like, or the inside of your hands, or feel the breath going down into your lungs. And so you're just super aware of these physical processes rather that are happening, and then relating that to your emotional state, and that's cool. And then there's the newest one that I found that's called EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. I'm still learning it, sorry. It's more commonly known as tapping, and that's the idea that you think of some problem, or it could be a physical symptom, it can be an emotional distress, and you focus on that while tapping certain points on your face and on your chest and on your whole body, and those points release pressure. So they're acupressure points, they're used in acupuncture, but you don't need as strong of a stimulant if you kind of intentionally focus your thought and energy onto those points. So those are pretty cool methods. The last two, mindfulness and EFT, are more from the 90s, which is interesting how these things evolve, whereas the other ones are thousands of years old. But they're all kind of getting at the same thing, that we have to be more aware of our emotional state and how that's tied to the physical symptoms that manifest themselves as a result of those emotional distresses. So those are my thoughts on energy and emotions, and I'm looking forward to talking to you next week. Bye, Chelsea.